contrary to many fears, the reset of Poland-Russia relations hasn't diminished Poland's interest to the eastern neighborhood. In fact, during this EU presidency, Poland launched a number of steps to reinforce Eastern Partnership. For example, Poland launched a number of multilateral meetings with 27+6 format. For example, at the level of ministers of finance, transport, statistics officers, customs officers, and so on. Poland also initiated a number of steps to better involve non-state actors in Eastern Partnership. For example, Eastern Partnership Business Forum was launched. Eastern Partnership Conference for local and regional authorities was inaugurated during the Polish presidency in the EU. Poland also increases its bilateral aid to the eastern neighborhood and works to increase people-to-people contacts, for example, by issuing an increasing number of visas to these countries. So we see that, in fact, Poland's reset of relations with Russia and its commitment to the eastern neighborhood goes hand in hand. In fact, the fact that Poland improved its relations with Russia also has allowed it playing a leading role in the eastern neighborhood. It was accepted by other EU member states. There will be no big decisions taken during this summit. For sure, the big decision would be if the European Union recognized, even in long term, that European countries the Eastern European countries can join the EU one day, so-called membership perspective. But we won't see any of this during this summit. Basically, this summit is important because it shows that the EU is still politically committed and to the eastern neighborhood. That eastern neighborhood still plays an important role in EU foreign policy. And unfortunately, it's not always the case. For example, the leaders of UK, France, and Italy won't attend this summit, and they didn't attend the last summit in 2009. And it was also that major work to implement the Eastern Partnership goals and objectives has been done at the level of the Commission. Before the time, the Commission said that it was ready to start negotiations on visa facilitation with Armenia and Georgia, and for example, that the Commission also said that it was ready to conclude free trade negotiations with Ukraine and start similar negotiations with Georgia. So the major work to implement the objectives of the Eastern Partnership has been doing beyond the summit and before the summit, and it will be done after the summit, and we won't have any big decisions during this summit. We see that the number of links between the European Union and the region is growing due to the Eastern Partnership. For example, within the Eastern Partnership, new multilateral institutions have been set up, and we see a number of sectoral integration initiatives that are moving on. For example, Ukraine and Moldova started to implement visa liberalization action plans with the European Union to have in future to have a possibility of visa-free travel to the European Union. Also, Ukraine and Moldova entered in the European Energy Community, and it was subject to adoption by these countries of national legislation that would implement the EU gas market directive. But unfortunately, this increasing number of linkages between the European Union and the countries of the region does not transform into tangible reform results on the ground, especially in democracy-related areas. We see that there has been regression in democratic freedoms in the region during the last 2 years, especially in Ukraine and Belarus, where the authorities persecuted political opposition and civil society activists. So to conclude, yes, the Eastern Partnership contributes to the increasing links between the European Union and the countries in the neighborhood, and it's important for especially for long term. But there has been no tangible progress in reforms on the ground in this region.